Young professional with a good financial situation inherits 150 grand. What would you do with it? Well, I've got the financial planning perspective, that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. You need to take a comprehensive approach to your finances. And I know that sounds so geeky. I know it does. But here's the thing. There's 6 areas to everyone's financial life, to yours and to mine and to everyone's. And when you've got big financial decisions to make, and they don't need to be massive, but just, big financial decisions, you've got to look at how that decision is going to impact each and every area of your financial life. And that way, you won't have competing or conflicting goals, number one, and you'll make decisions that bring synergy to your financial life. It'll give you the best chance of making a great decision, even if you have a range of good choices. And so I saw this tweet recently, and I read through the comments, and it's, some of them are a little seedy, some of them are a little funny. However, the scenario is fantastic, and from a financial planning perspective, looking at all 6 areas, how would you answer this? So I took the bait. Want to answer it right now. So here's the situation. A friend of this individual is 35 years old. Okay, he's got a good job. He's single. He's debt-free, other than owns a house and has a mortgage on that house. If you're in that situation, I think young professional and solid financial foundation, what would you do with a $150,000 inheritance? So again, I would start by just looking at all 6 areas of your financial life, but not so geeky. I'd essentially, you've got to start with, do I know where I stand financially? Do I know where I stand financially, and do I know what my financial goals are, and do I know whether I'm on track? I think you can get a long way towards making sure you do the right thing with this $150,000 if you've got a great answer to those 3 questions. Do I know where I stand financially? Do I know what my financial goals are? And do I know if I'm on track with those goals? That will really help you sift through a lot of good ideas, 150,000 different ideas probably, and really get to the great answers. As we've worked with folks, thousands who have received inheritances or some sudden money, there's a temptation or a concern. I feel like I could squander this money. I mean, it's not life-changing money, but it's life-changing money. I don't want to make a mistake. I feel like I could squander it. And as I joked, for $150,000, you probably have 150,000 ways you could spend that money. And so one approach, before I get into some financial planning ideas to consider, is maybe an 80-20 approach, where if there's, I could get a new TV, I could get new furniture, I could, buy a new something, whatever. Maybe give yourself an allowance of, 20% of it or 15% of it, whatever it is. I'll actually just keep and will enjoy. I will spend on short-term, kind of immediate, instant gratification sort of stuff, because, take a big trip, something like that. But then the other 80%, the larger chunk, I will put towards my financial goals or my financial future. That way, if it's all one and none of the other, it's possible you get out of balance. Now, if you say, listen, everything in the short term, I'm pretty comfortable, then fine. Don't feel like, I have to spend some of this right now. But to help you, if you've got that urge to, I could go on a trip, I could buy a new car, I could do all these things, maybe giving yourself a rule of, I'm going to splurge on 20%, 80%, I'm going to apply towards my long-term goals. So that could help, certainly working with a certified financial planner as well. So here's the thing. When I take a look at this scenario, my brain instantly goes to a couple of things, and maybe they're already in place, but we don't know based on the fact pattern. Number one, I'd want to make sure that you fully fund your emergency fund. And I know that sounds super boring as well, but it was just a couple years ago that we had the COVID recession, and gosh, guys, the 2008 crash, the great financial crisis, that's not too far away either. In both of those scenarios, or any time we hit some speed bumps in the economy, people, their number one financial regret is, I wish I had more cash. When things are good, you're going to feel like those are lazy dollars, and why do I have so much there? And there's a temptation to spend them, blah, blah, blah. But when inevitably things don't go well, which doesn't happen all the time, but will inevitably happen, do you have the cash to help you kind of navigate those challenging times? And so first thing I would do is make sure you have a fully funded emergency fund. Now, what's fully funded? Dave Ramsey says 3 to 6 months of your lifestyle. I typically, we would agree with that as sort of a range, but then pick a number, a nice round number, and have that be your goal. Not have it be in a checking account, not have it be in a savings account. I'd have that be in a money market. What you want for those dollars is you want them to be FDIC insured. You want them to be liquid. You want it to be free. After that, get the highest interest rate possible. Second thing that I would do is sort of relates to spending some of the money in the short term, but that is I'd make sure that your delayed spending savings account is fully funded as well. If you're familiar with the Wise Money Show, you've probably heard us talk about our 3 bank account system. This is really the operating system for your cash and your cash flow, your present financial position, where bucket number 1 is your checking account. You know how much income is coming in, and you've got clarity over all of your monthly bills and monthly expenses. So you know I've got enough margin here, income coming in to my monthly expenses. But then second, bucket number 2 is what are all my non-monthly bills? What are all the non-monthly expenses, irregular expenses? These could be vacations, these could be repairs, this could be car replacement, it could be future home improvements, it could be Christmas, it could be whatever, right? So anything that is something financially that's coming up and it doesn't happen every single month. So a non-monthly expense. And here again, and then that third bank account is your emergency fund. So I'd first go to the emergency fund, make sure that's fully funded. And then I'd go through, and you need to update your delayed spending categories and amounts every 6 months or so to make sure that you're staying proactive. And I would use this opportunity as, well, where do I stand with my car replacement fund or my house replacement fund or home improvement fund, my gifts and vacations, those sorts of things, and make sure that those accounts are topped off and that you're on track with those. Okay, once I've got a solid financial foundation, because if this individual has good job, good income, no debt other than a mortgage, and I'm not going to touch that, I'm assuming that mortgage is at 3% or something very low, so not even considering that, then really stabilizing that financial foundation by making sure that emergency fund is fully funded and delayed spending is fully funded, then these dollars the remaining dollars can be positioned more for the long term. So I next go to fund that Roth IRA. Fund that Roth IRA. And in this window of time, you can fully fund last year's Roth IRA and this year's Roth IRA right now. You can contribute $13,500 right now, $6,500 for last year, $7,000 for this year. Now, this assumes that he hasn't already funded his Roth IRA and that he doesn't make too much money where he can't fund the Roth. If you make too much money, you can't fund your Roth, consider a backdoor Roth. Something like that where you say, all right, let's shift these dollars into a Roth IRA where I accomplish 2 things, or a couple things. 1, I have those dollars positioned for the long term to grow tax-free for the rest of my life. Individual's 35 years old. But second, in the Roth IRA, if I need the money back, if something changes and I need the money back before turning age 59 and a half, I can withdraw the amount that I contributed, no penalty, no foul, no tax, no issue. And you don't want to plan on that. That's why you have your present financial position on solid foundation. But that's one of the benefits of the Roth IRA. So I would fully fund that Roth. After I do that, I'd make sure I'm maxing out my 401k. And this person might already be maxing it out. But if they're not, I would make sure that you use the inheritance to do that. Well, how? How can you do that? The only contributions you can make to your 401k are right out of your paycheck. That's right, I'd goose up, I'd increase the amount I'm contributing out of my paycheck so that I can max it out. And if that then throws my present financial position, my budget, off balance, then I would set up a monthly transfer from this inheritance into my checking account just like it's a paycheck so that I would offset that. And that's a way for doing the shell game, but shifting some of these dollars from inheritance into a tax sheltered for the long term. Next, I would consider if you're already maxing out the 401k or you increase it and you still have plenty of resources left from this inheritance, maybe the mega backdoor Roth IRA, which is above and beyond your pre-tax or Roth limit to your 401k, contributing after tax and then rolling that over, transferring that over to a Roth IRA. You're allowed to do that if your plan allows it. And so looking into those documents. So from a financial planning perspective, what we did is we assessed, well, where are you at financially? Do you know what your financial goals are? Do you know if you're on track? And that's going to inform a lot. Depending if those answers are just blank or if you're, hey, all clear on all of those, max out or fully fund that emergency fund. Make sure your delayed spending is fully funded. Max out your Roth IRA for last year, for this year. Max out your 401k, maybe even consider mega backdoor Roth. If you've done all of those things, you don't need the money for the short term. We confirmed that through our first couple questions. If this is then all long-term money, then you can invest it. You can open up a non-IRA, an individual account, and invest it. And you'd have the decision to invest it lump sum or dollar cost average, where you invest trickle a little bit of it in every single month into the markets. Based on your situation, dollar cost averaging, there's a lot of benefits for that. You're 35 years old though, and depending on how much money is left after answering those questions, you might just want to lump sum invest it there. Be aware, you're going to want to be tax sensitive there, because you've already fully funded all your tax shelters, as I kind of walk through that. So you want to be tax sensitive with your investments here. But for any dollars that aren't emergency fund, that don't need to shore up your present financial position, don't need to go into tax shelters, then you can invest those for the long term. Certainly could be things that are unique to this individual's financial situation that should be considered as well, just like they are to your unique financial situation, which is why I'm always going to tell you, no matter what the circumstance, receiving an inheritance, tough economic times, about to retire, in retirement, no matter the situation, work with your certified financial planner. You've got to look at all 6 areas of your financial life to make great decisions and to answer those initial questions. Do I know where I stand financially? What are my financial goals? Do I know if I'm on track or not? So work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with a K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well. Or give us a call, 574-247-5898. There you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.